Let's unmute myself. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to In the Loop Lupus Live. We are going to be chatting with Gabrielle Davis, aka Lupus Sisters. I'm so excited. I see her sitting on in the backstage there, so we're not going to waste any time. We're going to get right to her story. So let me bring her up on the stage. Hi, Gabrielle. Unmute yourself.
That's the number one mistake when it comes to these live streams, honey. People don't have it together, including me.
Always. I'm good. How about yourself?
Great. I am so excited to be with you. I said, look, the OG contacted me and let me know she wanted me to be on the show. I said, let me get myself together and put on a little lipstick so I can tell the people what's going on.
Awesome. You look awesome. Yeah. I'm so happy that you agreed to come on the show and share your story with us. I'm so excited to hear everything about you. And I'm just elated that you were able to come on.
Yes, I always try to find time for a little advocacy because it just breaks up the monotonous of the day. And it's my purpose. I truly believe that. And I know you understand that. Like, we got to make time to help people when this is our calling. So I'm happy to be here, and I always make time for advocacy.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. So let's get right to it.
Yeah.
I want to be respectful of your time. So
of course. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this fan up because it's a little hot.
Oh, you go ahead. Go ahead. You
so
probably
be real informal.
Again, come on.
Yes, child. Like,
just
at a certain age, right. The heat gets a little hotter. You know what you understand what I'm saying?
It gets a little bit too much. I know the feeling.
Yeah, my medications and everything. I'm, you know.
Okay. If it's a bead of sweat, you know I'm gonna reach over.
Yes, exactly. Like, ooh,
right. So tell me, when were you diagnosed with lupus, and what led to your diagnosis?
Well, that's an interesting question because I believe like a lot of listeners can relate. I started feeling that fatigue feeling, not really knowing how to articulate that all the way back in college. I remember, you know, I was just tired for no reason. I was having to take naps frequently. And even my roommate would make fun of me. She's like, she's sleeping again. I don't know what's going on with her. So the tired and the fatigue really started in college. Didn't know, wasn't obviously getting any testing done to see what was going on. And throughout the years, I just always had this level of fatigue. It wasn't until Valentine's Day, my first Valentine's Day as a married woman in 2009, that I had my first flare, not knowing it was a flare. I just was feeling like Tin Man. I was inflamed, really, really tired. I really felt dehydrated, all common symptoms, right? Mm-hmm. And I thought it was just nerves because it was my first Valentine's Day as a married woman. And so I took a whole bunch of Tylenol that day, way more than recommended on the bottle. Okay. Right. Trying to get rid of this pain because, like, you're not going to mess up my vibe tonight. You know what I'm saying? Then that didn't work. And so I called myself going to a masseuse. And if you know anything about inflammation, y'all know that's like the wrong move. You do not nobody's hand should be on you in the middle of, you know, having some inflammation in your body. And so basically the masseuse was great, but basically what she was doing was rolling the inflammation and pretty much spreading it throughout my entire body. So I just thought, oh man, I'm really sensitive. I can't really, you know, take this kind of masseuse or whatever, but it was really the inflammation that left me like that. So long story short, I ended up in the ER that night. Mm-hmm. And what they found was that my white blood cells were out of whack. And also I was severely dehydrated. So I was in there for 4 days because, as you know, there are not a lot of doctors who are skilled in saying this is lupus, this is an autoimmune disease. And so all they could see was that my white blood cells were out of count and that I was severely dehydrated. It wasn't until July of that year that I was officially diagnosed, July 2009, officially diagnosed with lupus. So quite the story, but what I come to understand is that mine is the least of so many out there that take months and months, even years to get a diagnosis. So it's bittersweet because I got a diagnosis. Right. It did take a long time in, you know, regular terms, but when we look at it through a lupus lens, it was actually a short time for diagnosis. Yeah.
Right, because we know usually it takes about what 2 to 5 years sometimes just to get
Yeah.
diagnosed.
Yeah. The
And
great masquerader for sure.
yeah, it tells you it's doing everything else except for what it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes we're being treated for the symptoms as opposed to the actual problem.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So when you were diagnosed, did they diagnose with systemic lupus, or which type of lupus were you diagnosed with?
They diagnosed me with systemic. Yeah.
Okay,
Because it wasn't just one thing, it
right,
was an overall, system issue.
right,
So they did systemic. And crazy thing about it is being diagnosed with systemic, you have this thing in your head that, okay, this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? This is what it's going to be. I don't know if a lot of people tell you things can come down the line. Okay.
right,
So lupus nephritis, inflammation of my kidneys, which also can come with lupus because we know that every system, every part of your body can be affected by lupus one way or another.
right.
So I just thought, okay, I'm dealing with this, the inflammation, the flares, knowledgeable about that. But then a short time later, I hope I'm not jumping the gun,
No, you're good.
um, kidney disease was introduced.
Mm,
And so that became the major thing that I was dealing with. And then maybe, I want to say maybe 2017, 2018, I started having discoid lupus. And so when they say systemic at first, I don't want to scare anyone, but I want you to be educated that things can come down the line. It can be progressive,
right.
so kind of, I don't want to say be open to the disease. That's not the right word,
Right,
but, take every day as it comes, take
right,
every year as it comes,
right.
and tackle the problems as they go, as they come is my
That's
advice.
yeah, that's really good advice because I think a lot of times we think that once we get that diagnosis,
Mm-hmm.
okay, systemic lupus erythematosus, okay, boom,
Mm-hmm.
that's all it's going to be. And
Right.
like you said, it brings on so many other issues.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even so much lupus might not bring it on, maybe some of the medications that you're on could bring it on
Yes.
as well.
Oh, we all
So,
know about prednisone.
right. So of course when you were first diagnosed, they gave you prednisone, correct?
Right. Yes, prednisone, and they put me on Plaquenil. I'm on the generic, the hydroxychloroquine that we heard so much about from our past president,
Right. Right.
and false claims that this
Right.
was something that could take care of COVID, which is not true. Let's just put that out there. But
Yeah.
yeah, those are the two medications that I was put on at first, and those are really maintenance drugs for lupus warriors, and then as you present symptoms and other issues come along, we hope not, but if it does, then they'll give you medication or prescribe medication that goes to your particular symptoms.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What did you feel like when you were first diagnosed? Like what was your first thought? Like what went through your head when you were first diagnosed?
Honey, I was in denial.
I know you were. I know that's right. Me too, girl.
Honey, I'm a classic type A doing too much. I will find me something to do, honey. I will be
Right.
booked and busy. Busy is the key word, no purpose behind that. And so I was in denial. I was slathering myself with Aspercreme, uh, and going on about my business, and not taking medication the way I should have. Just kind of, this was a background thing. This was I got to pop a pill,
Right.
when I remember, semi remember, not consistent, and I'm gonna move on. I think the joint issues were the big thing for me, and so
Mhm.
that could be taken care of with some steroids and whatever I can do. But I was in major denial. And it wasn't until I was diagnosed with kidney disease
Wow.
that I really started taking it seriously. And
Wow. So
even
what was the time frame in between being diagnosed and then the kidney issues?
I was diagnosed in July 2009, and the kidney issues came like 2010, 2011. So it was a short time to even really get your head around being
Right.
diagnosed with lupus, and doctors telling you need to go ahead and have a baby because this is the time, and we weren't ready for that. So there was just a lot of things, and then on top of that, a kidney disease diagnosis because of lupus. And so you can imagine me trying to play whack-a-mole to
Yeah.
nail down what do I need to do, what do I need to do. And then came that feeling of, oh shoot, I better take this seriously because now a major organ is involved
Mm,
that could be detrimental to my health.
right.
And so of course, we had to follow suit with what our me and my husband's plans would be,
Right.
so yeah.
That's got to be rough. It had to be rough.
Yeah, definitely rough.
Trying to plan around a newly married and trying to just
Mhm.
see, do we need to start a family right away, and then
Yeah.
all this health issues coming in on you. It had to be
Mhm.
very difficult on you and your husband.
Absolutely. I mean, anybody in our life, they can't help but be impacted by our diagnosis. And that's something I think a lot of us carry. We carry that guilt that, it's not us. A lot of us can say, I can handle me. But when my children, my husband, my family are impacted because of, what I have going on with lupus, it hurts. You know what I'm saying? It does hurt. But I think that that's an opportunity for people in our lives to step up and
Right.
get educated. A lot of us, I'm just going to make an assumption. A lot of us like to be independent, right?
Right.
We like to do things ourselves. Even in my diagnosis, I was very independent, and I realized that I had to let my husband in, and I had to give him an opportunity
Mm, wow.
to show him that this sometimes, the sick can health. Yes,
Yeah.
that came a little early, you know what I'm saying? And so we definitely got the training wheels off early in our marriage. And I mean, the silver lining is that you really know who you are with, right?
Right. Right.
Know what they're able to handle and what they're not able to handle. And you understand that the foundation that we have is good because this is hard stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This is rough stuff. I mean, it's not out of the question for, people to leave
Right. Yeah.
because they didn't sign up for that. I wasn't diagnosed when he met me. I wasn't diagnosed even when we were married. This came shortly after that commitment. And so I do apply him. He would say, well, I love you. It's not a big deal.
Right.
But, we know,
Right. Right.
you know what I'm saying? We know how big a deal it is. And so, that support definitely has to be there.
I think you made a very important point. You stated that you had to open yourself up and let him in.
Yes.
I think that a lot of times with that whole independent, and I think that just a lot of lupus warriors are just, just super strong people that are
Yes.
just so
Oh, we have
strong
to
willed.
be. Oh, we
Yeah,
absolutely have to be.
you
Yeah.
know. So for you to be able to really open up your heart and open up your whole life to a man that you were getting ready to marry, but
Mhm.
still didn't know, like you stated, it says a lot. It says a lot of what you had to deal with mentally to
Mhm.
really just open up to him.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there's always that fear of, even though I've known my husband since college, you know what I'm saying? We basically grew up together, but this is a challenge,
Right.
an obstacle that we've never had to face. We face many obstacles, but now this is something new. And so with anybody, even if you're so familiar with them, you know them, in a way that maybe other couples don't, this is still a new thing. And that has to be adjusted. You have to grow into that. And so we did that. We learned what life can look like,
Right.
still living good, still having joy, still moving and doing the things we want to do, but it's going to be a little different. It's going to look a little different for us. And that's the thing that we had to. So we couldn't compare ourselves to anybody else who was, living their best life. You know what I'm saying? We had to find a way to live our best life in a different way. And I'm glad to say that we are and we have,
So,
but we had to figure that out. We weren't resigned to what lupus brought into our lives. We figured a way to move through that for
right.
sure.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And with that, how do you, since you all are going through it, you all are working through it and doing what you have to do and making it work. How
Hmm.
do you explain lupus to other people that just might not know? Besides the normal, it's your body is overtaking itself. But
Hmm.
what do you say? How do you make people understand what lupus is in your life?
The first thing I stress is don't come to me about somebody who has lupus.
I love it.
Can,
Because
can,
I don't
can,
want to hear it.
can we talk about it? Because
I love it.
we all know that there are no two cases that are alike.
Right.
There are some common symptoms that people experience, But no two cases are alike. Like, you got something going on that, I think you talked about I think it's the dry eyes or something
Yeah.
like that. I don't deal with that. Okay. But I did deal with, some ulcers going on,
Right.
some other discoid or whatever. So as you can see, even talking to you, we
Right.
can see that our cases are not alike. So that's the first thing, to not make assumptions because someone's doing well over here.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't you doing well? That person's doing well. Maybe you need to do what that person is doing.
Right.
So everybody is an individual, even in the lupus community. And that's one thing that I would stress. I would stress that the energy levels a lot of times are just not there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say a common task you might be able to, and I like to make things personal because people understand that.
Right.
Like, okay, Kim, yesterday you were able to go to the mall and you were able to, buy your daughter some outfits. You're also able to go to a shoe shop that you like because she has a recital coming up and you want to get the right shoes. You
Right.
were also able to make her appointment. You were able to take a shower. You were able to go get your nails done, and you were able to go to the grocery shop. Now that's a lot for one day. That's a lot for one person to do.
Right.
But you had a mission. You made a list of things that you wanted to do, and you were able to accomplish that. For me, if I have a laundry list like that, something's not getting done.
Right.
Some days it might just be the shower.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Some days I might just be able to go to work and that's it. Some days I might be able to go to work, shower, and cook dinner.
Right.
Some days I do the miracle and I'm able to accomplish it.
Right.
But for me, I have to strategize different than someone who is not dealing with lupus. So I might put 3 big things on my list to do.
Right.
And I break it into bite-sized bites because I don't want to overwhelm myself. So I like to use personal examples of the fatigue, especially because that seems
Mm.
to be
Ooh.
one of the biggest misconceptions. If I take a long nap, then I'm rested. That's not the way it goes. I
Right.
take a long nap because I need to take a nap. That's not a guarantee that I'll wake up rested. Sometimes I do. Most often I won't.
Right.
So then I explained that lupus affects every part of the body. And I use myself as an example. I can't eat everything because kidney disease
Right.
won't allow me to. Dialysis at that point when I was on dialysis, thank God I'm not on dialysis anymore.
Okay.
There were certain things that I couldn't drink as much water. Like you out here running and drinking 64, 70 ounces a day as you should.
Right.
Human recommended, but for me, I was limited to 40 to 48 ounces of liquid, period, not even water. If it's liquid, ice cream, soup, whatever, I had to make sure that that was in my measurement so I wouldn't go over. So I
Gotcha.
wouldn't be over, have fluid overload. And so my dialysis treatment would go okay. So those are the things that, just making it personal to give a picture to it, because people read these statistics
Mm-hmm.
and they think they know, but they really don't know really until you talk to them and explain to them. And then they see you in action. I mean, I remember, excuse me, I got a little bit of a congestion. I remember my boss, she literally saw the lights go out. Like I was talking to her, I was in her office, and then she actually saw the fatigue fall over my body. And she, has been a really compassionate support for me, an ally in the office, because she has seen for her own, I mean, not even early in my diagnosis, but early in me working for her, she
Right.
had to take me to the hospital.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And so, it helps
Yeah.
when people can see I'm not playing games. This is a real issue. And yeah, do I try to make sure that I'm together at work and all those things?
Of
Of course,
course. Yeah.
anybody would. But there are times it's just like, I got to go to the hospital. I got to do this. I got to do that, And when I tell you, if these folks don't know anything about lupus before, they sure
No,
know.
now, right?
You know what I'm saying? They absolutely know now. So
I think it's important what you stated, that you have to be honest with yourself and you have to give yourself some grace to have those moments that
right.
you have no control, because either it's going to come at a moment where you just can't help it. It's going to happen.
Oh yeah, that's always the case.
You know what I'm saying? Because it always comes at an inconvenient moment.
Right.
You're in front of a
Yeah,
classroom.
I don't look, if I got to plan then y'all would never see anything. It would be in the dead of the night, honey. But that's not the way life works, and that's not the way life with lupus works.
Yeah,
So
and it's good because you're being honest. And
yeah.
I'm gonna add an extra question in there, because how do you explain to lupus warriors how important it is to be honest with their coworkers or their bosses or their employer about it? Because I think some people are a little bit afraid
Oh yeah.
really release that information, because everybody's not privy to that information, that you have
Mhm.
lupus and that you have a chronic
Oh
illness.
yeah. I mean, most
You
of the
know,
times it's invisible.
right?
We present ourselves in a professional manner,
Yep.
and lupus is not written all over us unless you have some scar and then you can hide that. So there's always ways to hide it. For lupus warriors, to be honest at work and with your employer, I think honestly, it comes with a level of comfortability. I did not disclose lupus when I first got there. I gave myself a month of proving that I'm able to do this job with lupus. And what
Gotcha.
that does is it lets people know you without labeling you, right?
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
I didn't want anybody taking work off my plate or trying to accommodate me because of what their preconceived notions were about what lupus looks like. I wanted to show them what lupus looks like, what it looks like for me to be focused and still go through things, and I'm able to handle it. Um, and so I remember just, calling a meeting with not only my immediate boss, but my department boss over the manager over the whole department, and letting them know that I had lupus and this is what it looks like. And down the line, I might need to have a kidney transplant and all these other things. And they were very attentive and they were very compassionate, which I'm so thankful for.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you have to know the environment that you're in, and you have to be comfortable. I don't know if I would have done it as quickly, because I think a month is pretty quick for some folks. Maybe they give themselves 90 days or whatever.
Right.
I don't know if I would have done it as quickly if I did not feel comfortable and I didn't feel like I was building a rapport with my boss and my manager over the department. So I think
Definitely have to have that support.
yes, I think a rapport needs to be built. You need to establish your work ethic,
Mm-hmm.
and you also just need to be comfortable. If it's a toxic environment and you know that they're strict or hard on people who are not able to perform at the level, then you might have to power through. And at that point, I know this is a luxury for some people, but you might want to look for a new job,
Right.
because you don't want to subject yourself to that kind of toxic environment, because we know stress is no good for us. We know that that's not going to help us get well or get better or, being able to, carry on. So yeah, rapport, establish a work ethic, and there's just a level of comfort that you have to have in, expressing what's going on with you. And I think that most bosses would understand, and you
I
have
would
that
hope so.
rapport. Yeah, you have that work ethic that you've already established to let them know that this is not. I mean, obviously, we can't say this is not going to be an issue, because if I said that, I would have been a liar, honey, because it wasn't an issue.
Right. Right.
But I was able to maintain it as such that my job wasn't getting abandoned. You know what I'm saying? And when I had to leave, like if I was out in the hospital for a number of days, I wouldn't recommend this, but I'm a type A. I want my work done. And so if
Right.
there was lulls in the day in the hospital, yes, I was up in there with the laptop.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't even recommend that. That's me. That's what makes me feel. I mean, you don't want to fall into that trap of productivity, okay? Because we all need to have a timeout and rest.
Yeah.
But when I could do it, I made sure my work was done. There
Yeah.
are
Just
things
trying
that
to keep some type of semblance of normalcy.
exactly. That's what. Thank you for filling in that word. Yes, a normalcy. And if I'm in the hospital on a Monday morning, I'm gonna pop in on the meeting. You know what I'm saying? I might not have my camera on, but I know
Right.
what's going
Right.
on because I know I'm going to go back. And so I want to know what's going on when in my absence, so I know when I get back, this A, B, and C is what I need to take care of. You know what
Absolutely.
I'm saying?
It also helps you to to take your mind off of what's going on with you. You
Yeah.
know, you might be in pain, you might be dealing with some brain fog, and sometimes that will
Hmm.
pull you back to
Yes.
a sense of reality that okay, I still have this and I'm okay.
Yep. 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 Exactly. Exactly.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Now me, I'm not gonna do that. When I'm
No,
down, when
that
I'm
happens.
down and
You know
out,
what I'm saying?
I'm
Like we said,
don't
too many
call me.
cases, two different cases. Okay. Everybody can operate in their own sphere.
Exactly.
And not like I said, I wouldn't recommend that, but that's, that's
That's
kind of
what
what
keeps you good.
yes. Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see that your biggest support system is your husband and your
Oh,
family.
oh yeah.
Do you have
Definitely.
any friends or confidants that you might have, other lupus warriors that you might be able to rely on for that support?
Oh, absolutely. My community is everything.
Yeah.
Everything. I would not be the advocate one that I am today.
Right.
I wouldn't probably be doing as well as I am today if I did not have the support system of my husband and the lupus warriors that I'm close to. And
Right.
we all need community. Even if you don't have lupus, you don't have to have lupus to have a community. Everybody talks about their tribe or whatever. And I make sure that I do have good lupus warriors around me. I say good as in consistent, right? I
Right.
can go to them and I can talk to them about what's going on. I can tell them the real. And the thing about that and having that community is that you don't have to translate.
Right.
There's no need to translate. When I tell you I'm tired, they know it's not just, oh, I hope you get some good rest. And
Right.
we say those things, but we know it's deeper than that. We know it's just that fog, that fatigue that comes with, whatever, lupus might bring our way. And so they have been key and not only lupus related stuff, but they've become my friends. Sometimes it don't even have to be about lupus. It's just about a situation that I'm dealing with. A good example is, I talked to a lupus sister the other day. Was it last week or was it earlier this week? That was last week.
Hmm.
And, just talking about some personal stuff
Right.
that had nothing to do with lupus. But those are the kind of relationships that you can gain when you open yourself up. And I want to speak specifically to Black women.
Hmm.
We
Speak
can
on it.
be so distrusting.
Right.
And I get it because we opened up ourselves and we told somebody our business and they saw fit to tell other people or they saw fit to gossip about it. And now we're closed off, right?
Right.
That comes in, you got to vet the people that
Absolutely.
you open yourself up to. It's not a permission to close yourself down because then you start isolating and then you have to live this mirage. Now you can't be authentic with the people around you because you're too busy acting like everything is okay and
Right.
is good. And we gotta drop the cape. We gotta let it go and we gotta find people that we can confide in and make sure those people are vulnerable with you so they got skin in the game.
Right. Right.
You don't want to, I mean, for me, and I think a lot of people deal with this, we just have this stigma of being a burden. And it's not hard to come to that conclusion when, 2020 alone had me shook.
Right.
I mean, I was in the hospital altogether probably about 16 days
Wow.
when you add it all together.
Wow.
And it was a lot.
Yeah.
And so, there were some friends that I outside of my lupus community that I talked to about what was going on with me. But for the most part, like the details,
Right.
I was talking to my community about. I was sharing with my community about what was going on and able to get power and strength and encouragement from them,
Right.
and I know it's not a burden for them because they go through the same
Same
thing as
exact thing. Yeah.
yeah, they
Same.
tell me like when they're in the hospital. They tell me when things aren't going well. They might present well on social media because you don't have to tell everybody everything that you're going through.
Right.
But behind the scenes, stuff is not going right. You might have to try a new treatment plan. What's going on is not working for you right now. You know what I'm saying? And so community and my husband, some of my family, because I say some because, some
Yeah.
people
Hey, that's life.
some people don't want to
Right.
educate themselves. Some people want to act like you still are operating in a different way than you are. And
Yep.
so you just got to let them come to their own conclusion and they'll get it when they get it. But family, some family, my husband and Definitely the lupus community, like Lizeth. That's my girl. Thank you for turning in.
She is here and in the house.
Yes, are huge supports. I can't even explain. I mean, they prop me up.
Yeah,
They
and
prop me up.
it's so important. It's so important because, like you
Definitely.
stated, we can feel like we're a burden, and then sometimes that whole superwoman syndrome can
Uh-huh.
overtake us.
Oh yeah. And you
And
know what that is? It's a defense mechanism
of course,
because we opened ourselves up to someone who
absolutely,
wasn't ready, couldn't take
absolutely,
it. And so now we take that as okay, everybody's not ready.
right,
And we take it to the extreme, but there are a lot of people who want to be a support. I'm
right.
coming into some new friendships where, you know, one, I'm learning to hold the word friend
Yeah, for certain people,
for people who show me that they can be a friend.
absolutely,
And what a friend is to me may be what definition of friendship, what I'm learning as an adult is across the map.
right,
And I had to discover, and I would recommend anybody do this, that you have to learn what friendships are to you.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
I'm
And
a
you have to learn how to let go of people and understand that everybody's not going to be your friend all the time.
hard lesson to learn.
It is.
I just learned that lesson like
It
oh,
really,
what I
really.
literally say last Sunday, not even this, like two
Wow.
Sundays ago.
Wow.
I did.
Because I think sometimes because we're in pain a lot, and sometimes things are just going so hard, we yearn for those friendships, and we
Oh my
want
gosh.
those friendships that
I
probably
hold
are
my
struggling us.
connections. Oh my gosh. I hold my connections so dear.
Yeah.
Maybe a little too dear, to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
Yeah.
There needs to be a lot of self reflection and self love for us because we can tend to it's like a it's like a drug sometimes.
It,
The
that's very true.
connection. When you find someone who goes hard for you,
That's very true.
we hold on and we don't ever want to let go. But we have to come to a place where we realize we got worth.
Right.
We are equal to anyone out here,
Exactly.
sick or not sick.
There you
Okay.
go. There you
And I
go.
think my mistake was, just to be honest with you, look, we being open today.
There you
I
go.
did not see myself on the same level.
Mm.
Okay.
I don't think you're the only one.
I saw her as this friend as not someone to emulate.
Gotcha.
And a lot of and I admired her.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to understand that I had to come to the conclusion, and it was a little late in the game for us. And that for that I did apologize, but I had to come to an understanding of this is what I need in a friend.
Right. Right.
And I had to be brave enough
To
to
verbalize that.
say that.
Mm-hmm.
Because what do we just talk about? Rejection, abandonment. We're thinking that we're a burden.
Yeah.
So I had to, if I have in my mind, I had to get to this place. And when I tell you it's years,
Yeah.
Lizeth knows I had a conversation with her about this,
Yeah. Yeah.
that it took me years to get to this point and saying, I have a right to say what I want in a friendship.
Right.
I can't change it because you're not able to meet those needs. Because a
Right.
lot of times I was like, okay, well, you're not able to do this. Maybe you did do that. Maybe you're able to do this. And it got to the point that it just felt like I was pursuing this and
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't reciprocal.
Yeah, and then in that non-reciprocal issue, that's
Hmm.
causing you some stress. You know what I'm saying? Causing you stress in your own mind and your
That
own
I allowed.
yes, that you
I'm going to take
invited. Yeah, you
absolutely
invited it all
taking
in.
ownership. I will never, ever, 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 ever put that on her or anyone else.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
me
yeah.
not speaking up,
Right.
not saying what impacted me.
Absolutely.
And I took the freedom of choice from her. If I would have said, um, this is what it is earlier on, if I knew. And also, there's a lot of grace there because I didn't have the tools. I
Got
didn't have the tools to say without fear overwashing to say, this is what I need in a friendship.
you.
Are
Right.
you able to do that? And she could have said, you know what? At this point in my life, I'm not.
Right.
And so now we had to kind of come down to years later. And after that, you're rooted to that person. You have
But
an
see,
established connection.
but what a lesson
Oh,
even that issue has taught you,
oh,
and how important, you know what I mean? And how important it is
oh,
for us to train people how to deal with us, because
yeah,
essentially that's what we're doing. We
yes,
are learning these different lessons from all these different experiences, from
yeah,
what lupus puts us through and what, life puts us through. And
yes,
then we're training people how to be who they are to us.
yes, yes. And
You know?
it is true. We train people how to treat us. And I don't fault her because guess what? I didn't say nothing.
Right.
How would she know? She's not a mind reader.
Exactly.
And that's the damage I caused. On I take ownership of the damage I caused. So we got to be open with people that we love and care about.
Right. Right.
We do, even though it might be scary.
Right.
How will we ever be able to have a real connection
Right.
with
Right.
people if we don't take that step? You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Because we would want somebody to do that with us. We don't want people, you know, I had to flip the shoe, right? I
Right.
don't want anybody in my life who feels they can't be honest with me.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if I made you feel that way, we need to talk about it, baby, because that is not ever my intention.
Right.
And we need to put it on the table. And I
Right.
didn't put it on the table. So
Yes.
now moving forward, you can't stop me from putting it on the table, honey. I'm putting all the cards. I'm
Like,
showing
wait a
you.
minute, let me deal this deck.
Look, right. Let me. It immediately, not even waiting,
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
Because
you gotta protect yourself. You gotta protect your
yeah.
spirit. You gotta protect your mind and your stress levels and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's important for you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you think that doing that in learning that lesson within the last 2 weeks, do you think that doing that has given you some extra coping skills? And what coping skills do you use to deal with lupus?
So for coping skills to deal with lupus, and are you talking particularly about just choosing me, or are you talking about just lupus in general? First off, let me give a disclaimer. I have a toddler,
Oh, you're
so
fine. You're fine. I didn't even hear them.
just for the folks, just in case some sound comes through, that's what we dealing with. Okay.
I'm saying, like, as far as coping with lupus for you, what type of coping skills do you use? Because you know what, we're all dealing with different traumas that happen prior to lupus.
Yeah.
It creates a set of coping skills that we use.
Right.
And then we're diagnosed with lupus, and
Mhm.
those coping skills sometimes are just thrown out of the water.
Right.
Because you have to relearn yourself
Oh yes,
in a different way.
definitely
So
relearning.
what type of coping skills are you using to deal with the mental strain that lupus can put on you, to deal with the physical strain,
Yeah.
the spiritual strain? What type of coping skills, like, could you say that you're using that helps you?
Well, a newer thing for me is extending grace, especially in the situation that we just talked about. I could let that stress me out.
Right.
I could lose sleep over that. And I'm not saying I haven't, because it's a grief cycle. So I have to give myself grace in that, grace in what I was able to do
Right.
pre-dialysis, grace what I, what is able to do even pre-diagnosis. I have to say, what can I do now and stay in the present and not do everything, because my coping skills pre-diagnosis were not good. I did not process my emotions. I really didn't know I had emotions. Okay, I'm trying to tell you, another one I'm going to bring up is therapy. When my therapist asked me, well, how did that make you feel? Blank.
Right.
Because I was not given the tools to express, this makes me sad, this makes me happy, this makes me whatever. You know what I'm saying? Very independent in dealing with the emotions as a child.
Right.
And so, of course, you bring those things into adulthood. So I was not coping
Right.
pre-diagnosis. Now I know that mental health is important. I went into therapy 8 years ago thinking that lupus was the issue. Honey,
You figured that out real quick, didn't you?
not the issue. There were a lot of layers that had to be peeled to see. And I believe the root of everything in me, childhood, you know what I'm saying? Childhood, family stuff. So lupus was the head, so to speak, or the iceberg, tip of the iceberg. But then there's a lot of stuff underneath. So definitely consistent with my therapy. That was an investment that I made in myself because I wanted to be better. I want to cope with things better. So I see my therapist once a month. At some point, it was every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So, depending on what I need.
Right.
I'm using an app called Eternal Sunshine. I'm just now getting into meditation. I used to think that stuff was real foo-foo woo-woo.
That's
Okay.
that's the stuff. That's my thing there.
But what I'm seeing is that in a time when you feel low, you know what I'm saying? And you may not be able to even do what you were able to do a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
Right.
It helps me to reframe myself and remember I'm still worthy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not measured by my productivity or what I can do for people, because that was another thing that I had to throw away.
Right.
I'm worthy because God says I'm worthy, and I'm worthy because I'm alive,
Right.
not because of anything that I'm doing for you, any benefit you get out of me.
Right.
Those things are extra. That's just, but that's not what makes me worthy. Prayer, journaling,
Mm-hmm.
um, spiritually, I had to be honest with God, and I needed to get help with that. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because you can imagine, dealing with lupus, and then the kidney disease comes, and then you are moved into the stage of dialysis. Now we really, really getting real. I'm talking about, I held out until 4% function. I do not
What?
regret, child.
Wow.
When I tell you I was the hard-headedest of the hard-headedest, if there was
Wow.
ever a word, that would be me. That would be me in the dictionary. My doctor said, okay, it's time.
Yeah.
It's time now. And it was a good decision, because obviously we were literally talking about life and death. That this is not an exaggeration.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to come up with some things of, why is it taking 4 and 5 years to get a transplant? You know what I'm saying? The
Right.
faith was up and down. And I'll tell anybody, God was gracious with me, because my faith was in and out. There
Yeah.
were times that I would believe it was going to happen. There are times, well, maybe this is just,
Right.
I'm living, I'm coasting, maybe this is just what it is. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I had to reaffirm the scriptures that I believe in. I had to talk to my therapist, who is also a Christian, and just talk to other believers in that realm spiritually. Physically, cancel.
Yeah.
I grew to understand some things need to be canceled.
Yeah.
The day needs to be canceled. There's no work day today. There's no cooking today. Oh,
Right.
sometimes, I bought into that good wife trope,
Right. Right.
where you felt like you had to cook every day, or you had to. I love cooking, but I love cooking better when I'm well.
Right.
And so I made that something that needs to be done. My husband didn't require that of me. I put on that cape. I wanted to cook. I wanted to be the good wife. And I had to let go of that preconceived notion of what a good wife looks like. A
Right.
good wife is able to do what she's able to do when she's able to do it. If I can't cook, I
Then
can't
you
cook
can
today.
cook.
Guess what? We gonna eat out. We gonna get a new. We gonna come up with a plan.
Right.
It's gonna be okay because we ate that night. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And so, just letting go of some of the societal
Mm,
norms and societal expectations, where
right.
that's not even real.
Right.
That's a TV script.
Right.
That's a movie script.
Yeah.
Totally unrealistic. But it's interesting how easy it is to buy into that.
Yeah. Of
And so
course,
we
I
had to
think
figure
because
out.
we're so conditioned
Oh yeah.
from childhood on
Oh yeah.
to buy into what a woman's role is and
Yes.
how you can't deviate from that,
Hmm.
and it becomes such a part of us and who we are
Yeah.
that it kind of harms us more than it helps us.
Oh, it definitely harms
You know?
us. I don't see anything helpful about going by something that we did not even try on to see if it
Right.
worked for us.
Right.
We just adopted it, and then we put ourselves at this standard that, because of situations in our lives and our lifestyle. It doesn't even have to be about lupus. Does this fit my lifestyle? Does my husband really care about what I cook today? No, he just wanted to be good.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I
Right.
still ask him. I still felt like, what do you want to eat for dinner? Oh, I'm just like, you know what? One day I'll get on straight just to be cooking and not ask you at all. I try to be
Right.
considerate. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
Right. I mean, you hit on a couple of good things, especially the therapy and the prayer and the meditation, because I think
mhm,
that we often overlook those things that are good for us.
mhm.
and are important for us. When we say self-care, we don't just mean going to get your nails done, going to get
Oh
your
yeah.
hair
Oh,
done.
it's such, and
It goes
especially
so
for
much
us.
deeper than
Oh,
that.
it has to go deeper because you're looking cute, and that helps, right? Help us to walk in our confidence. But
Right.
what happens when your blood pressure or your,
Right.
I'm looking at my heart rate. Your
Right.
heart rate was at 60, but all of a sudden
Mhm.
it's at 120.
Right. Right.
Getting a facial and nails, getting your nails done don't help
Right.
that.
It don't mean nothing.
No,
Exactly.
no, you're just looking cute
Exactly.
with anxiety. So now you
Exactly.
need to come up with some tools to help you breathe,
Right.
to help you stay present, not to
Exactly.
think about the past or the future. You can't change the past. You don't know the future. All you can do is stay in the present. And that's something that I just least recently got on. When my thoughts go this way or that way, I
Right.
tell myself, stay in the present.
Yeah. You take
Stay in
those
the
deep
present.
breaths and you focus on what is in front of you.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
Yes.
very important.
And
Very
I'm kind to myself now.
important.
I don't talk to myself like I'm a drill sergeant.
Yeah.
We have to think about where that came from.
Right.
Who
Right.
talked to you like that?
Right.
You know what I'm
Who
saying?
taught you how to do that? You know,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
and it could be just life experiences, it could be
Hmm.
anything. But
Yes. But
we
there's a
definitely have
voice.
to relearn who
Absolutely.
we are as we're battling lupus, as
Hmm.
opposed to who we were before our diagnosis.
Yes. Yes.
Definitely, definitely. Very good information. Very good information. What have you learned about yourself since you've been diagnosed and dealt with this unpredictable disease? What have you learned most important about yourself?
That I'm a badass.
There you, ooh, I hear you, girl. Say it now.
Okay. I mean, we're fierce.
Absolutely.
Nobody, look, we are moms, wives. Some of us can't work. Some of us are staying home with our kids, taking care of our kids. Some of us got full-time jobs and careers
Right.
while managing ourselves.
Right.
So I discovered a strength that I didn't know I had. I discovered a resiliency. And I want to be careful with that word because sometimes we need something to take pride in.
Right.
And resilience and strength will be one. But that's one part of who we are.
Right.
I don't want for myself to walk around strong and everything because that gives people permission to put things on us.
Right.
And we take that on because we're strong. When I say strength, we dealt with the hand that we were given and we make the most out of it.
Right.
We take care of what we need to take care of. We find a way.
Right.
And when we don't find a way, we ask for help. That is also strength.
Yeah.
So for me, I discovered that part of myself that really wasn't tapped into.
Right.
I know that I knew how to persevere, but you never know the level of perseverance that you need when you're dealing with multiple diagnoses and your body is going haywire. And then there's still responsibilities. You still got to pay the rent. You still got to pay the mortgage.
Right.
How are we going to do that when I have this expensive medication that you know, um, the drug company or is
Charging you
raising
all
the
the way
yeah,
for,
charging,
yeah.
and the insurance is not approving and they're questioning, do I really need this medication? Yes, I really need this medication. So, and I also learned that I'm a pretty good coordinator.
There you
I
go.
can coordinate my life. There's nothing like a lupus warrior who has to call this doctor and that doctor and to
Right.
make sure
Right.
this appointment is still on and to make sure that this doctor has the records and make sure your doctors are talking to one another. And
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It's a business.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I can't profit the way I want to.
Right.
We're running our bodies, our lives. If you look at it that way, it's empowering because
Yeah. It
this is what we
definitely.
have to do. It's not a choice.
Yeah. It definitely is. It's definitely empowering, especially when you have been taught that your job is your status, or
Mhm.
your what your education is what projects you. So
Yes.
it definitely is an empowering thing.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Yeah, you
Definitely.
find out these skills like, okay, I got what it takes to take care of myself and to make sure other people know I know what I'm talking about. I know
Right.
how to assert myself. There's
Right.
so many life skills that we gain.
Yeah.
These doctors who tell us this thing and are like, well, I found that this works for me, and you have to stand your ground. So
Absolutely.
there's a lot of skills and things that I learned about myself, the strength and just, I grew in compassion.
Right. Mm.
Before diagnosis, I wasn't dealing with nothing. I
Right.
was going on about my life. I mean, I would feel empathy, you know what I'm saying? I would feel sad for people. But now knowing how something like lupus can totally turn your life upside down,
Yeah.
I'm able to empathize no matter the situation because I can relate. That's a common thing. You were this way yesterday, and now today, either the person you love is not there. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? The job you had was not there. The
Hmm.
health you had was not there.
Right.
I can relate to those things, and I'm able to have more compassion, which just helps relationships in general because
Yeah.
you're able
In a
to.
relationship with yourself.
Oh yes, definitely self-compassion, a big thing.
Yeah.
Definitely self-compassion. And I should have mentioned that first, but yes, that first, because you have to have compassion with yourself before you have compassion for anybody
Because,
else.
girl, if you can't love yourself, you surely can't love nobody else, right?
That's true. Yeah,
You know?
very true.
Very true. Oh my goodness, that's awesome. Awesome, awesome
Mhm.
statements. I love your way of thought. I love what you're saying. I love
Thank
how
you.
you have learned yourself in spite of lupus and you're living just in spite of it all. It's
Yeah,
amazing. It's amazing.
nothing but God, girl. I'm
There
trying to
you
tell
go.
you.
There you go. There you go. So I have three more questions for you. Just
Okay,
be
sure.
respectful of your time, and it's almost 8 o'clock, and I don't want to keep you too long away from your son.
Yeah, girl, he'll
So
be knocking on the door soon.
I know, I know. But
What
you
you
see my
doing?
dog back here bugging back and forth.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So I have three questions left.
Okay.
And that first question is, what is your fight song? I like to ask people what their fight song is.
Right now is Power by Beyonce
Oh,
off the Lion King soundtrack. I'm really into my walks and I'm using the Peloton app. I don't have any of the equipment, but I have access to the app. And there's this 30-minute power walk with all Beyonce songs.
oh,
And
you're gonna have to
I'm
send me
really
that one. I love
yes,
that.
I will definitely. And just, the lyrics like you can't take my power. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
And it's not even a particular person. It's fear. It's
right,
whatever is trying to drag me down. It's the low days or whatever. I still have my power even though these forces are coming at me
right,
mentally, emotionally. You
right.
can't take my power. And I tell you, I got to get my walks in at least twice a week. And lately that's the soundtrack to my walks because it empowers me to remember my worth, my value, and that I have power. I
Yeah,
have power.
yeah,
I live it every day. I take the time to recognize that. And it lifts me up. It makes me feel like I can tackle my day. I can tackle the rest of the week because I took the time for me.
that's awesome. That's awesome. I think a lot of times we negate our power and we try to sometimes give it away to lupus.
Hmm.
And once
Yeah.
we regain that and pull that back to ourselves,
Yes.
it's a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and that's a process, right? Because we've
Yeah,
all been there. What I was in the denial stage, I was
absolutely.
in the this is crazy, life is crazy, kind of bound down to it. Then I had to learn what it was, what I could do. And little by little, I got that confidence that, yeah, I got lupus, but what we say, it doesn't have me,
Yes,
right?
exactly, exactly.
And so I can be in a successful marriage. I can be a good mom. I can be in leadership at work. You know what
Right,
I'm saying? It just looks different. Having a baby for me looked different.
right,
I went the surrogacy route, but guess what? A family is a family is a family. You
right,
know what I'm saying?
right,
I might have to take a time out from work, but I'm working. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
we just have to be willing to change our perspective and our mindset.
Mm. Ooh, that's a point right there. Be willing
Mhm.
to change your perspective and your mindset.
Yeah, it's a must. We
That's
can't go into life with lupus the way we were pre-diagnosis. We just
right,
can't. It's
right.
I have not seen it done. And I definitely and the thing is I don't want to. I was a busybody doing
You were
doing the
too
most,
busy doing too much at too many times. It was just too much.
spending energy
Yeah,
everywhere,
yeah. And
saying
it's
that,
funny
oh, I'm
how
here for
lupus
you.
can really just boom. Hey, sit down.
Yep. And you have to it causes you to make things a priority. It causes you to really take a look at who's in your life and what's in your life and saying, what do I need to set down right now? I might be able to pick it back up, but what do I need to set down right now? Because it's not helping me be better.
Right,
It's
right,
not doing me any good. And this person or that activity doesn't want me to do that anyway if it's causing me harm.
right, right.
So I need to step away from some things and you really get to see what is a priority right now. Obviously my health, my family, and work, and the genuine connections in my life.
Absolutely,
That's what's important to me right now.
absolutely. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. What is a quote that keeps you uplifted as you're
Ooh,
battling lupus?
beautiful girl, you can do hard things.
Mm,
And I love it because it is not one of those fluffy quotes. It speaks to the reality of the situation.
right, right.
We go through some hard stuff,
Yeah,
rough stuff, life changing stuff.
absolutely.
But here we are. We're doing it. We're
Absolutely.
doing it. And it gives me the push I need
Mm-hmm.
to keep going. Because
Mm.
it gets low.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a big crier. I wish you know what? Let me change that.
No.
I am growing into expressing myself
Yes.
through emotion.
Yes. Yes.
I no longer pride myself
And
on
not
not
showing
being
it.
a crier.
Right.
Crier. I want to be a crier because that's release.
Right.
Okay. So when I go through some hard times, I use that quote as recognizing that things are hard
Right.
because we got to stay in reality. My therapist tells me that all the time. Stay in
Absolutely.
reality. It is hard,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I can do hard things.
Right.
I have what it takes to do hard things. And all you got to do is look at your track record.
Right. I mean,
Just like we think
100%.
about God, look at his track record. Think about yourself in that way. Look at how far I've come.
Right. Right.
I can do hard things. I can raise my son. You know what I'm saying? I can be what my partner needs me to be. I can go to work. I can do these things. And obviously, our productivity and the things we do, that's not us.
Right.
But it sure does help when we are at our point in our life when we feel like we don't bring value or it's just so hard. Just think about what you've done before.
Right.
You can do it again.
Exactly. Because
You
I
know.
mean, 100% of the times that you thought that you could not make it, you
Mm-hmm.
overcame,
Yep.
and you're here today to talk about it. So
Mm-hmm.
a beautiful, beautiful quote. This is our last question for the night.
All right. It's so fun.
I know, right? I could talk to you. I could talk to you for hours because
Oh,
you
same,
have such a
same.
sweet spirit, and I love it.
Thank you.
What advice would you give other lupus warriors? Just give me 3 pieces of advice for those lupus warriors out there that might be still going through the mourning stage. You know, we go through that mourning stage
Yes.
periodically during our
Yes.
lupus fight. What
Yes.
advice would you give them?
One, that you must be your own advocate.
Mm,
And that has expanded. That's not just for me, that has expanded because I say that all the time, but just recently, that has expanded to not just in the medical world, right?
right.
First with your doctors, um, first with those healthcare workers, because everybody's got, especially in the middle of the panorama, as I like to say.
Panorama.
Okay. In the pandemonium,
The
even better.
pandemonium, right?
All right. Um, whatever level of healthcare was there, and we knew it wasn't that great to begin with.
Right.
You're blessed if you have doctors in your life that are compassionate and know what they're doing and know about lupus. Count
Right.
yourself blessed. And so, even more so in the time that we're living in, we must be our own advocate. We must speak up. We must not just follow things blindly.
Right.
Always question, because these people are human.
Right.
They have an expertise, but they make mistakes too. And
Right.
so we must disclose what medications we're taking. We must disclose how we're feeling, even if we think it's not a big deal. I especially learned that being a transplant patient
Mm,
because, a temperature is not just a temperature for me.
right.
If it goes over a certain level, there may be infection that may put my kidneys at risk.
Mhm.
So I got to lay pride aside. I can't be that strong person that
Right.
doesn't want to ask for help.
Right.
I have to ask for help
You gotta
in
be
those
honest with
situations.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is an advocate for yourself in the medical community and healthcare system, but you also have to be an advocate for yourself in your life,
Right.
in the people in your life. You got to be honest.
Mm,
Loyalty and honesty is a recipe for disaster.
mm,
Loyalty without honesty
right.
is a recipe for disaster
Mm,
because you will be priding yourself on loyalty, but you will not honor yourself.
mm-hmm.
And you're not honoring the other person. You're lying.
Mm.
Let's call it what
Right.
it is.
Right. Right.
Like it's not sugar coated because sometimes we need that.
Exactly.
You're lying to yourself and you're lying to the other person or
That's
the other
very
people in
true.
your life. So
Very.
you have to be an advocate and say, you know what? I really want to hang, but I don't feel good. So is there a way that we can that's my medication alarm. I
That's
recommend
right.
put alarms. Even how many years in now, I don't always remember. So I got to protect myself and set those alarms. But sorry for the distraction. But
No, you're fine.
yeah, we have to say I can go do this thing. Um, but I need this time, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying, to myself to do that thing.
Absolutely.
Okay. Or can we reschedule? Or, even to the ultimate thing, let's talk about how our relationship has changed. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? I
Yeah.
met you when I didn't have lupus,
Yeah.
and I was able to do X, Y, and Z with you was no problem.
Right.
Now I'm seeing there's a shift. And this is before it gets critical, right? This is
Right.
key.
Right.
And saying, I that no longer suits me.
Right.
I would love to hang with you, but we're gonna have to,
Change it up.
yeah, we're gonna have to change the dynamic a little bit. So it suits both of us, right?
Right. Right.
So not only being an advocate, medically
Right.
and taking care of yourself, because you have to be a self advocate too. Sometimes we
Mhm.
have to tell ourselves, no, I can't do that today. That starts with us. And then
Right.
we extend that to the medical community, and then we extend that to people in our lives. So we have as harmonious as we can. It's not always going to be that way, right?
Right.
People will change their minds. People will transition and change themselves because things in their life have changed. And, I had to realize that people go through transitions as well. Nobody stays the same, right? And
Right.
so
Sorry
they
about
might have been there. They might have been able to have, support you in that load.
that. Right.
But now they've got their own things going on. They've got their own passions and things going on. And so now it's time to say, well, can we do this in a different way? Or is it best that we just kind of, take things back a little bit? And that's okay too. You know what I'm saying? And so I would say self advocacy, and just being an advocate for yourself. I would say lots and lots of self compassion and grace
Mm. Yes.
is necessary in this journey. And I learn that more and more as I go along because there's layers to it. It's not like you slap on self compassion and that's going to carry yourself what. It's like prayer, it's like food, it's a daily thing. It's a
Right.
daily practice. What I had self compassion for yesterday may be different today. Yesterday, I said, you know what? I didn't know that in the past. And so I'm
Right.
going to give myself self compassion. And now I'm going to say, oh, I said I could do that thing. And now I can't do that thing. So I'm going to give myself self compassion in that way. I'm not going to feel bad because now I know I'm human. I'm not a machine. I'm
Exactly.
not a robot.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm not going to be perfect either. I pride myself on being trustworthy and dependable. And that stuff is still there, but obviously it's not going to be the way it was pre diagnosis. So I'm no longer going to push myself to a place of bitterness and resentment trying to do something for you
Right. With neglecting myself.
and neglecting myself because you didn't ask me to do that. That's something that I was conditioned to do.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I would say be open to change. That's the third thing.
Mm.
Be open to change. Be open to changing things because when you're open to change, people can meet you where you are, not where you were.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
that's the problem because we're
Right.
not willing to change. We want to keep the life that we had. What
Right.
I find is the life that I had was not serving me.
Right. Right.
Acting like everything was okay, not processing my emotions, not knowing how to
Mhm.
articulate my emotions.
Right.
That was not good for anybody. So the one thing I can say about lupus, it helped me to get real, real fast.
Mm.
And to be honest, because I had to. There's no way I could stay in the bed in pain with my blood pressure and my body inflamed and just sit there all night and not tell my husband we need to go to the hospital.
Mm.
It looks like that.
Mm.
Suffering in silence.
Yes.
It
Yes.
can't be an option for us. So change, self advocacy, and being our own advocate, and lots of grace. Because we
Mhm.
have to realize, I don't know everybody's spiritual belief, but God grants grace to us every day.
Absolutely.
If
Absolutely.
God,
Fake.
a perfect being,
Mm-hmm.
can look at me and extend grace, what's my problem?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's a process. I don't want to be too hard on people like get grace on and get it on now. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely a process and I still grow in it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, and if they do, that's their problem. But nobody expects us to be perfect.
Right.
That's something that we put on. That's something let me make this personal. That's something I put on myself. I have to show up. And I think we know where that comes from. We're trying to make up for a lack.
Absolutely.
Lack of, I'm sick a lot, so let me do this. I wasn't able to do this, so let me do that.
Yeah,
and at some point we have
how much you got to do.
Yes, totally trying to compensate for a perception of lack.
Absolutely.
So we have to get that on straight, that we don't have to make up time. You know what I'm saying? I mean, making up for a date night or whatever, that's one thing.
Right.
Okay. But we don't have to totally compensate for, I wasn't able to pick up that phone, so I'm going to,
Yeah.
At some point, people in your life is going to have to understand it's no hard feelings.
Yeah. And if they don't,
this is just, I promise you, I will do what I can, but I'm not going to kill myself trying to prove my worth and prove my friendship and prove my love and prove my care to you.
Yeah. Or even prove that I'm sick to you.
That part, because a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah.
You look fine. You was on social media.
You
social media will get you in trouble.
It goes back to what we were discussing. Some people you just gotta let go, and you have to be okay with that.
And fortunately, I can't say I've really had even the challenges I had recently. There's no love lost. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. I just know that the expectation, it was a healthy conversation about expectation. Right. And that's what has to happen more often. Me, I cannot wait till years down the road to finally tell you that this is not working because of some issues, right? That I'm working through because of some past issues that have flowed into adulthood.
Right.
Okay. We got to be honest with people quickly.
Right.
We gotta bring down that, we gotta, you know what I'm saying? We gotta be honest, because that's when people get to see us and they get to make a choice. You know what I'm saying? They get to make a choice.
Absolutely. I love it. I love everything that you've said. I think what I got most from you is the purpose of learning yourself beyond lupus.
Yes.
And being open to doing that and giving yourself grace. Allowing yourself to do that for you, not for anybody else, but for you.
Yeah. What I discovered is I'm bomb.
Yeah, there you go. Badass. There you go.
Right. It's an awesome discovery. It's not about the diagnosis. It's about, look at the way you handle it.
Right.
Look at what you've done. Look what you've persevered in. Look at what you're striving. You're still striving. You're still thriving out here. I'm bomb, man. No, not a lot of, I mean, come on. This kind of talk is new for me. I'm practicing it. I'm saying out loud, I'm proud of you.
Yeah. You
did that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm giving myself big ups because I deserve to.
Absolutely.
Because
you're here today and you pass all those issues that ever happened to you to be here today to be able to even say that.
Yes, I'm a healthy, capable adult.
Absolutely.
And that's 5 stars in my book, given what we go through.
Shoot. 5 stars.
Not in somebody's
sometimes, right?
Mental ward, okay? Right. Because I took the time.
Absolutely.
To take care of myself and make decisions that are in my best interest.
Awesome. So awesome. And with that, my dear, thank you so much. I totally enjoyed your story. I enjoyed, my dog is beating her head up on things.
Your dog like, come on, girl, you know, it's time to look. This ain't what we do.
Right. I enjoyed everything that you stated, and I'm so intrigued with your spirit and all that you're doing with advocacy and your lupus fight. So I want to thank you personally for coming on the show, and I know
we're going to keep the invite. Yes. If you ever want to do it again, just let me know. Whatever you want to talk about. Yeah,
definitely will. We'll definitely talk about some good stuff, and just thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
So I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I done held you for an hour. The baby crying, the dog barking.
Yes, what's going on?
But
No
I love
problem
it
at
because that's
all.
what life is. It's just life. It's just
Yeah.
life. So thank you so much, Gabrielle. Tell us where we can find you at on um, social media, if you don't mind, or if you have an email if someone wants to get in contact with you, so I can put it
Yeah,
in.
there's two primary ways you can get in contact with me right
Mm-hmm.
now. On Instagram at Lupus Sisters, that's LupusSistas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on there doing my thing and empowering you all. So I'd love you to join my community just so we can empower each other and get through this life. You know what I'm saying? And
Absolutely.
then if you need to reach me by email, you want to be a little bit more personal, um, lupussisters@gmail.com is where you can reach me.
Awesome.
So those two ways, definitely get those and we can chat, or, if you have a question just about my journey, I love inspiring and talking to you all. And you guys are inspiration to me. That goes both ways.
Yeah.
How we
Awesome.
can share our journeys and get tips and hacks for life, because
Yeah.
that's what helps us get ahead, right? We need those.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you so much,
You're
Gabrielle. I
welcome.
appreciate
Love
you.
it.
And I look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Yes,
Might be
very
sooner
soon.
than later.
I
Don't
know, I
sleep
know,
on
right?
me. You done opened the door real wide.
I
So
know, I know. I did open it wide, girl. So I'm expecting the call. I'm expecting that DM. No
awesome.
worries. No worries at all.
But thank you so much. Thank you
No
everybody
problem.
for tuning in. We
Thank you
appreciate you.
guys. Thank you for
Yep.
your
And I hope
support.
that you
I
guys
know.
enjoyed Gabrielle's story and that you hit her up and follow her on Instagram so that you can get that inspiration and you can inspire
Yeah.
others as well.
Yeah. I'm all up in the there. Anybody who's in my stories right now, I've been posting a lot about just mental things because I believe that's the direction I'm moving in, and it starts mentally. So
Yeah.
that's the
Definitely.
direction I'm going in. So hopefully I can inspire other people. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, guys, have a great night. Thank you so much, Gabrielle. I so appreciate everybody tuning in. That will be the end of this In the Loop Lupus Live with Gabrielle Davis, aka Lupus Sisters. Check her out on IG. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Bye.